What up, world? Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. You already know what it is. Welcome to Two Gents Fireside Chat. We got David Brocca, aka Toy Raider, coming through. That's the man that directed the Nobody's Clown video by Los Yesterdays, the creator of the El Triste 45 adapter. Keep it locked. We'll kick things off when he joins. I see ya. I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody joining. Toy Raiders in the building. I see my brother D. What's going on, Dave? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Happy to have you. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, long time coming, man.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So we got about 10, 11, 13 now on the line. If you're ready, I'll go ahead and kick things off. If you see me looking down, it's just my notes.
Ah!
I want to welcome everybody to Two Gents Fireside Chat. Fireside Chats are similar to interviews. However, they're slightly different. We take the time to do research because we don't want to duplicate efforts. More importantly, we don't want to ask our guests the same questions over and over again. We've got about 8+ questions. I'm thinking 35, maybe 40 minutes, plus the lightning round, of course. The individual that you see in the tile below has made major waves on our scene in 2021. He is the man that directed Nobody's Clown by Los Yesterdays music video. He is also the creator of that awesome El Triste 45 adapter, which you can see back here. When I was doing my research on Dave, I was coming across lots of different things, but I stopped when I found a little clip of an interview. This was when he was ramping up to film a movie. It was the Knox Mine disasters.
Oh, wow.
And this was really important. Initially, he did not have interest in filming this, okay? But he said it was when he had walked into the homes of the people that he was about to interview, when he felt that personal connection to tell their stories. It was a personal responsibility to him. And I felt like I got to know Dave really well when I saw that. I got to see the expression on his face because that's how I feel about music. I'm super excited to talk to him here and introduce him to you. Dave, welcome. Super happy to have you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me, man.
So, you know, we've got a couple different interviews with you out there. I really want to kind of start off with, you know, when we talk about the music video, it's a monster, right? But what I really want to get to is how did this kick off? How did the conversation start?
Vic played me a great song. I mean, Vic played me a great demo of the song. And, you know, I don't know if I bit my lip and tried to play it cool or I immediately was like, if you're going to do a video, I'll direct this, you know? Yeah. That's literally where it started. It was just, it was like nothing he had done before. And, I knew it was special.
So you hear the music.
Yeah.
He asked the favor and you just immediately commit. If we did not go through the pandemic, is this something that you think would have happened anyways, or was this kind of a right time, wrong place kind of thing?
Right time, wrong place, absolutely. Okay. You know, I will say that it was a bit of a 1-2 punch because he had shown me the Puppet Master's Instagram profile, and I got to see El Triste. And they were doing another song, and they were considering using Cain and El Triste for that video. And then I think Gabe Rowland ended up directing Time, the Los Yesterdays' first music video. And so once I saw El Triste and I heard the song, it's Nobody's Clown, and knowing what Vic was going through at the time personally,
sure,
and kind of, you know, just being that friend there on the sideline witnessing it, you know, it was just It was a blessing. It was a blessing in the middle of chaos because everything was shut down. The Knox Mine disaster, I had just started touring with it, and I had to cancel like 18 shows.
Oh, wow.
In March, and then it was just like, let's just wait and see what happens. And so if the pandemic happens, yeah, nobody's coming probably doesn't happen. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. One of the things that I wanted to really dial in on is, we see a music video, there's 3.5 minutes of footage, but I want to drill into how this thing picks up from budget to choosing the background, the landscape, right? And even recruiting people to participate. How does all that happen, especially when you're partnering with a bigger indie label like Daptone?
So, with funding, all I had to do was say, hey, this is how much I think it's going to cost. That was really my role in that. And Vic really handled, the lion's share of that work. Then, for the girl at the end, her name's, we called her Jenny. We had a cast for her, and I've never had to cast in the middle of a pandemic. I've never had to make a film in the middle of a pandemic, and so everything was different, everything. And so really, it was a lot of lunches and dinners with me and Vic, just hashing it out. He had a very sort of, he had the vision for it, and I just kind of helped chisel it into the length of the song. And so it was really the pre-planning and pre-production. I don't know if you've seen, Vic's drawn some storyboards, like some concept storyboards, like from the beginning.
Really?
I mean, they're going to be worth money someday.
Wow.
Yeah, so we storyboarded, we did a shot list, and then it was putting the team together.
Okay.
And Cayenne was always at the center of all of this, and so we had lunch with him, and we had lunch with Matt Scott, who was another puppeteer and puppet maker, and basically, other than La Smiley and El Triste, that's all Matt Scott's creations. It's a very kind of macabre, kind of darker sort of style of puppetry. And it just worked great. And so we met those guys. Those guys were down. And then it was locking in a really good DP because I really didn't want to shoot this. I wanted to focus on just directing. And so we were able to get Mike Buddy, who is the director of photography. And, once we had him and we had all the key players, it was like, location scouting, which was another adventure. I mean, trying to book locations to shoot something in a pandemic at the beginning of the pandemic. And so, the whole theater is a bar that couldn't do business anyways. We threw them a couple $100 and we got the place for a weekend. Wow. And so, it was a lot of, decision making on the spot. But if we didn't do our due diligence in like the pre-production and like planning things out, it would have been an absolute disaster. Wow. Because it's like, you plan everything out and then everything blows up in your face. But it's like you still have a roadmap, and so it was so valuable. The time that Vic and I spent prior to filming was very, very important.
I love that. One of the things that I wanted to hint at was, we get to hear Vic on records, we get to see him at live shows, but I'm wondering if there's something you can share about Vic, something that maybe you only saw through, working together on the music video. It'd be really great to kind of hear some insights.
Well, it goes with me and Vic, it goes way beyond just the video. I mean, I know him like 20 years now. Yeah. I showed up in LA homeless and he took me in. And then years later, I returned the favor back to him. And so, we've kind of become brothers throughout the process. And, I will say that Vic is a pretty damn good producer in his own right. He did a great job getting together what we needed and delivering on it. And then another insight, you know, Bad Vic, he's really not that bad.
Yeah.
He's not.
Very personable, friendly. He's a jokester.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's really not a bad guy, that Bad Vic.
I love that. Now, what kind of challenges, what was maybe the biggest challenge you faced throughout the filming, or were there little things, anything stand out close to showstoppers?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. You know, some of which just goes in the deep filmmaking diaries. But I'm trying to think. It was all just crazy, man. You know, like just for us to we wanted to shoot that marquee, that big marquee that's in the beginning.
Yeah.
And just to rent that theater, to not go inside, and just to shoot their marquee was like, we needed like $1 million insurance policy. And so, and it was just, you know, it turned out that we didn't need a $1 million insurance policy. We didn't need you know, we needed a different type of permit and a different type of insurance. And so that was crazy. And then it was like, you know, there was a whole thing where people just like, just make it in Photoshop. It's just the marquee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that is our establishing shot. Like, if we do that, we're jokers. So, you know, I held really hard. I really pushed that damn theater marquee to happen. And it was the last day of the last shoot, the last evening.
Wow.
And we're watching them, you know, we show up and they didn't even put the letters on yet. And we're just watching them put the letters on. And we're like, ah, we did it. We got this damn theater. And the video was done after that. There was no more shooting after that.
Okay. How much time, what kind of time investment was this? Are we talking months, weeks? What did this look like?
Yeah, so the pre-production was months.
Okay.
It was probably 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
But it was a very leisurely thing because no one knew what the hell was going on. You know what I mean? Like, we were all just waiting, listening to the news to see, like, when can we go out? When are we going to get out of this? It's funny, I read in your notes, you typically don't talk about the pandemic, but how the hell are we going to not talk about it? Yeah, you know, that was just, it was all crazy. But I'm sorry, I lost track of thought. Remind me what the question was.
I think we were talking about, you know, some of the challenges, right? And then,
Yeah.
you know, I think really next for me is duration of time. This was a massive labor of love that you put into it. What's the one thing you hold close to your heart, whether it's a story or a memory, you know, maybe with the folks that you're working with? What really is close to heart for you on this?
There's a ton of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still enamored by the scene where Vic hoses El Triste down and he goes running like that. And shooting that was so much fun, and that is such a great memory because it was like right in the middle of the shoot. The shoot was technically 3 days.
Okay.
You know, split up on like different weeks or weekends. So I'd have time to edit in between to see what we needed and what we didn't need. So we weren't wasting time shooting stuff that we had already got in the can. And so, yeah, that scene was at the beginning of a long day, and it was so much fun, and it was so positive, and we were giggling about it. And, you know, me and the DP, Mike Buddy, we were acting like children that morning because, like, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but when Vic walks out of that house and you look up at Vic, the number of the house, I think it's like 869. But we positioned the camera so Vic's head was blocking the 8, so it just says 69.
I did not notice that.
So, you know, that morning was really fun. And, you know, then we shot all the LA scenes, all the exteriors that day, and we shot the antique shop that day. So that was a long day. and we really needed to start off on like a fun, you know, positive first step.
Everybody did a really good job acting the parts, especially in like the vintage store at the end. That was something that I really liked. I was looking, you know, on YouTube. It's December, 3.5 million plus views for the music video. What goes through your mind when you see that view count, when you reflect back on the year, and just kind of the way that this video caught fire and rose to the top?
Yeah, you know, when we were finishing up the video, a very good friend of ours did this stop motion animation. He put it on YouTube. It's called Jawa Plays Eruption. And I mean, it's like ridiculous. It's amazing stop motion animation. It's a Jawa playing Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstein to Eruption. And we're like, this is going to destroy the internet. And within a month, he was on rollingstone.com and it had like 500,000 views. And we were just like, oh my God, can you imagine if we had 500,000 views in like 5 years? Or like, it would be such a blessing, you know? And never expected it to blow up like it did, man. Never. I knew we had something special. I gave it everything I had. Everyone gave it everything they had. And it was just, you know, I just think we hit an audience that really needed something like that. And we lucked out. Yeah.
It's a solid following. And I mean, I was proud seeing that video, right? Because we don't see a lot of music videos from the musicians that we love on the indie soul scene. So I thought it was great. Now, when you look back at when you were actually doing the filming, thinking forward, here we are, 3.5 million views. Does this change your vision moving forward in contrast to maybe the film work that you were doing before? Do you see more of an opportunity for you to kind of reside in this space? Is there more you want to do?
Yes. Yeah. And it reminded me of why I got into filmmaking in the first place.
Okay.
I had been working on a really heavy-duty feature-length documentary about a coal mining disaster with people dying, with like corruption, and it was heavy duty. And this was just this got me back. This re-inspired or reignited like the love of filmmaking for me. I mean, you know, working with actors, this really lit that flame for me like crazy. And so, yes, I'll be working in this space. I've talked to, you know, more than a few bands about doing projects for them. And yeah, you know, I think you'll see more music videos from me in 2022. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Super excited for that. You know, throughout all this, I'm sure everybody's wondering, what's your connection to the music, the soul scene? How does that resonate with you?
Wow. You know, so I had no connection to it. And well, my connection to it was just meeting the guys in Los Yesterdays. And, you know, there were times where they would rehearse over Vic's house, and me and Vic were supposed to go out that evening. So I'd come over a little earlier and kind of just, you know, listen. And so that was like my introduction to this. And it was all very kind of, you know, alien to me. You know, just the idea of, okay, there are people that are making old music. There are new artists making old music, releasing it on old media. And so it was all kind of, you know, strange to me, except when when we got into like the collecting of it and the limited edition of things. And as a collector myself, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Well, you know, it's just, you know, in this day and age, there's so many things that are frivolous and are wasteful. And I really appreciate when an artist or you know, a producer of some kind like makes a limited edition of something, and then that thing has value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a really good thing for everybody. Instead of like, you know, mass producing a ton of crap, you know, make stuff that counts, that the fans will be proud to own and cherish those things. And so then when the whole kind of, you know, that scene came to me very easily, like, you know, going to record stores and talking to them. And the astonishing thing to me, after talking to a couple record store owners and hanging out in record stores, was, and this might be separate from the soul scene, but like seeing young people going into these record stores. I'm talking like, you know, 16, 17. I mean, I was in there and I was almost like, you know, this like 16-year-old kid came in. I almost wanted to ask him if he was lost, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and then I learned that, like, it's a whole thing on TikTok where young people are buying albums and then playing them and talking about it. And then that boggled my mind too, because it's like, well, they're born into a generation where music is free.
Yeah.
Why are they tracking down vinyl? Why are they spending money? And then, you know, the answer to that is, if you were 14 years old now and you had a favorite band, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you get their songs, but there's nothing tangible that you own or you have, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to a record store and you see this thing with this beautiful artwork and this, you know, this media that sounds amazing. It's such a it's a really special sort of resurrection, I think, that's going on. And so I understand that now, and I'm happy to be participating in that sort of space.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I saw True Loves perform for the first time Thanksgiving Eve. And I had heard their music before. I had seen names on paper. But there's something about being there and being present and seeing the people, the interactions as they perform, that allows you to understand differently, kind of find that deeper connection. So I'm sure that's kind of what you were describing when you would see Los Yesterdays perform at Vic's and so on like that. Being part of the culture, seeing how it works, it resonates. I want to switch topics real quick. Let's talk toys.
Okay.
Where does this passion for collecting toys come from? You've got the handle Toy Raider. Give us deep insights. I'm a vinyl record collector, which you know, so I'm sure there's some similarities, but I'd love to hear kind of your insights on it.
So it probably goes back, you know, I'm a child of the 80s. Yeah. I was a young child throughout the 80s. And, you know, with Star Wars, action figures were this huge thing, and they were affordable. Yeah. And so, you know, whenever I would get one, it was, you know, it was probably because of some sort of reward, or I did good on a test or anything like that. And so I associate those old toys with like affection from people in my family. Okay. And so I hold them very dear to me, and I still see them that way. It's like if I see a Ken or Luke Skywalker, it's like, oh man, I remember being in Kmart and tugging on my mom's, you know, pants. Wow. Like, can I have this? And getting that and you know, totally brainwashed as a child to be a consumer. And and so when I moved down to LA and I started working and making a little bit of money, I started going on eBay. And I was like, oh man, I remember that when I was a kid. I remember that when I was a kid. And then it became a thing. I moved out here with my cousin Al. He's 3 years younger than me. And, you know, so he had the disease as well. And we would just go on eBay, and, you know, every weekend we'd have packages to open, and, you know, we were spending our salaries on vintage toys. And then once it kind of, you know, after the early 2000s, and now with the Toys That Made Us, that Netflix show, that market has exploded. And so those things they were valuable, but now they're really, really valuable. And I appreciate that. I love the hunt to find toys that people are selling that they might not know what they really have, and getting deals. And then, you know, I don't sell many of them. I keep a lot of them, you know. But that whole thing, that whole chase, and it just goes back to you know, that feeling of when I was a child and having that, and maybe the security and the safety around me or whatever. But I don't know, man, these things they just make me feel good, man. You know?
I love the way that you described it, because as you're saying things, I'm thinking about my experience with the records and the things that I think about, and the security and pinning memories to childhood and everything like that. I think that's really deep. So, you know, how does this idea go from we make the music video to how do we make the adapter? Like, how did that come about? Were there other ideas pitched, like t-shirts, other sorts of trinkets, things like that?
So a funny story is, it was like, I'm thinking about back when we got the idea, and, you know, I guess when I pivot hard.
Yeah.
And when I knew I was going to do a music video, and I knew I had that damn cute clown on my team.
Yeah.
And I met Cain, and we had talked the video, and I think we were walking back to the car, and I told him, I go, hey man, I'm going to make a toy of that figure. And I go, it's going to sit on top of a record. Wow. And it's going to spin. And Cain was like, oh yeah, cool, man. You know, cool. All right. You know, I'm down. But like from day one, that's what I wanted to do.
You knew it. You knew it, and you felt it, and you just believed it. That's what it sounds like.
Kind of. And the other thing too was, like, Vic had warned me, it's going to be tough to convince Daptone that you want to make a toy.
Yeah.
Because they don't sell toys, they sell records.
Yeah.
And so then the evolution of that was, well, you know, let's incorporate a record. And then Vic showed me what you know what I mean? Like, the hole in the 45, I'm sorry, Waxvillain listeners, I didn't even know about the hole in the 45 and everything. It was just like, I thought we would put El Triste on top of a full-length album, and he would spin, he would sit on the needle.
I do that sometimes. I do that sometimes with my LPs because they're so beautiful. So you're not wrong.
Oh, wow. All right. Excellent. And so once we saw that opportunity, and then we talked to Daptone, and it was really Nydia. Nydia is the head of marketing at Daptone. She had the foresight. She was on my team from the beginning. And I always have to thank Nydia for that. And she was, you know, just kind of chimed into the other guys like, hey, you know, this sounds pretty cool. It's like nothing we've ever done. Let's give it a shot.
Wow. That's a trip. You know, I'm smiling and I'm laughing because I'm kind of exploring something similar. And I had to laugh about Daptone because they don't usually talk to me, but that's a whole separate story. But so you say, I'm going to make this toy, I'm going to make this 45 adapter, but you've never really made toys before. So how does that hit the sand when you're actually starting to do it? Like, what are you thinking? How are you imagining that this is going to happen?
I pivot hard, man.
So do I. But
I didn't know. I had no idea. So, all right. So let me back up. So making toys, that's, to be honest, that's been a hobby of mine for probably about a year. February of 2019, I got my first pressure pot. I got my first sort of vacuum chamber thing. And I was making copies of Star Wars figures. I don't know if you know this. There's a whole bootleg art scene that is going on right now of, you know, artists making, you know, very limited edition handmade action figures. Wow. And I wanted to play in that space.
Okay.
And I have friends that are successful in that space. And so they would give me tips and things like that. And so I had been doing it for about a year. But I'd never made, you know, 10 figures, let alone like 300, right?
Yeah.
And it was just, it was madness, man, because, you know, Daptone, I haven't even finished editing the video, and Daptone's asking me for like production photos of the adapter, which I haven't made yet either. And it was all just like, whatever, just, you know what I mean? This is what you want, just go for it, let the chips fall where they may. And you know, I got really lucky. I got really lucky with Vinny Chav, who
Yeah.
sculpted the El Triste adapter.
Yeah.
And I got really lucky just throughout the process of just, you know, honestly, like fucking up over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then you get one right and you're like, okay, what did I do to get all those things right? Okay, let's just go that route. And, you know,
we call that learning, by the way. Learning.
Learning, yeah. Yeah, so I just had to learn and go with it, and I'm very happy I did, because I really enjoy it. I really love not only working in a visual medium, but I really like the sort of craftsmanship of kind of working with my hands and creating those figures as well. So I think this is going to be a sort of, you know, duality for me for many years to come, because I'm having a really good time making films and making toys.
I love that. Now, you know, in terms of limitations, the process, because the one thing that I was thinking all along is I'm sure there were certain deadlines that probably had to be met. And so as the idea of the adapter comes up, it's like, well, I need to have it ready by this time, or in some capacity. But what are the limitations that you discovered when doing this, and how long does it actually take to make a batch of adapters? I mean, I know it's hard to sell 500 records. I can only imagine about the adapters, and you've got multiple versions. So
yeah. So I make them all, and each one goes in its own individual silicone mold, and you basically, you know, you have a prototype. You make a silicone mold of the prototype, and then you put casting materials. You put like a pigment, like the gold was a powdered pigment that they used a lot in the set building of the Marvel movie Thor. So all those gold arches and everything are made of the same stuff that El Triste is made of, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. And the advantages of, you know, working in Los Angeles. And so how many can I make? I could probably right now, I could probably make about 30 in a day, because each one takes about, depending on what kind of resin you're using, each one takes about an hour to cure.
Okay.
And so, you know, you can only make 24, you know, in a 24-hour period with one mold. Right. So then you got to go 5 molds. Then you got to go 10 molds. And, you know, you have this, you know, this like, it was a El Triste factory. And I have a bunch of making of stuff that I shot that I'm going to put together for early next year to really, you know, show some insight into the process. But yeah, they're handmade. They're made with these hands. I'm happy. I'm so happy that people dig them. I'm so happy people get it. You know, and I'm a collector moving into this space. So, you know, I respect that market, man.
Well, I got to tell you, you know, to me, an adapter was an adapter before El Triste. I could have really cared less. And so now, you know, everyone in the house, my daughter loves El Triste. My mama's asking, when's he going to make the pink one? I'm hoping you can introduce us and maybe tell us a little bit about each version. So this was the very first one in gold.
Gold, yeah.
What stands out to you about this?
Oh, I probably almost had a heart attack in making that one, because I was under some serious deadlines, and I was like, I bit off more than I can chew. And, you know, but it turned out fine. It turned out fine. And that one is the most sought after one.
It's the first one.
So I'm very proud of that. Yes. Yeah. I'm very proud of that.
And then we got this bad boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of when you see this?
The Terminator. Those are my little Terminators, man.
I love that.
Yeah. What that was a, that was a test of endurance. You know, we go from 300 to 500. You know, it's like, try to make that. So, it's just, you know, raising the bar again.
And then we see this bad boy right
Yeah.
here, Crybaby Blue.
Yeah. Yeah. That one's my favorite. That one's by far my favorite. That's probably the most original one. You know, made of real clown tears, man. Home run.
Now, I understood that there's kind of like a cleansing process that has to occur before you would maybe start working with, like, I guess, different filling. And there's maybe like some white and gold ones. Is that true?
There's some clear and gold ones.
Clear and gold. Okay.
There's some test pools like that are clear. You know, there's a lot of, honestly, man, I'm a mad scientist with that stuff. There's a lot of different ones that people have not seen.
Is there a Crybaby Blue glow in the dark version?
You know, Vic has a blue one that kind of glows in the dark.
Okay.
But you know, a lot of that was experimentation, and so, you know, as the artist making them, there are things that I'm just like, oh, I couldn't, you know, I don't show anybody that because it's like they're mistakes, but they're very special to the people that have them. Yeah.
I gotta ask, what did you pump inside this thing? Because this will light up a room.
You know, man, that was another challenge. I wanted to make that thing like nuclear. I wanted the glow to be nuclear. And it was just whatever the recommended glow pigment was, I just doubled down, man. I spent a lot of money. I spent a lot of money on glow pigment for those. Yeah, I'm very proud of those. Yes.
So we've showed the lineup, but this is the part where we talk exclusive stuff.
Oh,
I understand you have an announcement that you might want to make about the El Triste lineup.
Yeah. So we are going to release another one.
Ooh.
The drop is going to happen a week from today on Tuesday.
Okay.
I'll start advertising it right now. But we'll start pushing it, you know, probably on Thursday. And I have it right here.
What? We're gonna get to see it too?
You want to guess? You want to guess what color it is?
Did I guess it earlier?
No.
Red.
No, it's a good guess.
Green.
I mean, I don't know, man. You've seen what I've made. Those are kind of basic.
Oh, is it like splatter?
That's a good idea. All right, here we go.
Oh my gosh.
Here it is, right?
Blanco.
You know, like I said, that's a little too easy. So what this is this is a fully paintable El Triste.
No, you made
You're going to be able to buy
El Triste?
You're going to be able to buy this. It already has a coat of primer on it, and you're going to be able to paint your own El Triste.
Do you still have my address?
I do, man.
That is crazy.
You know I'm hooking you up, man.
That is crazy.
So we're also, me and the boys are going to do a little contest, a little online contest.
Okay.
With some dope prizes, and for whoever paints the best El Triste.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit. That is so cool.
Yeah. And there'll be different categories. There'll be the overall best. There'll be the most creative. And, you know, we want people to get creative with it and, you know, keep it interactive, keep the audience excited about things. And so, yeah, this is a fully paintable El Triste record adapter.
Wow. And is that wood? Is it the
No, it'll be this. It's the same material. It's the same resin. But typically that stuff comes out with like an oil to it, and you have to wash it, and then you have to paint it with a particular plastic primer. And then you could paint it with paints from the 99-cent store if you want. You go to Michael's and get some craft paints for $1 and paint this guy.
Wow.
Or, you know, I'm hoping there'll be some pros out there that do some airbrushing, and literally the sky's the limit. And we're real excited to see what people come up with.
I just think it's so genius because, you know, something like that, I'm immediately thinking like that I can get my daughter to participate, right? And have fun and enjoy music through something like that, even deeper than seeing the glow in the dark or the Crybaby Blue. And then the collector inside of us are thinking like, I'm not painting mine, right? Like, but you know what I mean?
Sure.
Though? So
Yeah.
this is a really cool concept and idea. I'm kind of speechless right now. Thank you so much for revealing that.
Yeah,
So
man.
exciting to see something like that.
Cool.
You know,
And I
you
still
had
got
an
your
amazing
address.
year.
I still got your address. Don't worry about it.
I appreciate that. You've had an amazing year. 2022 is right around the corner.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What are you after? What do you want to achieve?
So I have a feature film that I'm gonna take back on tour. I really want to get that placed somewhere.
Is that Rats?
That is the Knox Mine Disaster.
Okay.
Yeah, people could check that out at knoxminedisaster.com. You know, I'm developing a couple music videos right now.
Okay.
You know, I'm probably gonna really dig my heels in on this toy making thing.
Yeah.
I have and you know what, I love kind of what I fell into with, you know, this isn't just a collectible, it has a practical application. You don't just put it on your shelf and look at it, you use it, and I love that. And so yeah, I have a couple original adapter designs that I'm working on, and yeah, I hope we see some next year.
Now, is there any thought or talk about maybe El Triste having friends?
Having friends. Well, you know, I think that if we happen to do another music video with El Triste and some associates, then we would kind of have to, you know,
wow,
give him some friends, right?
I love that. I love that. Very exciting stuff. All right, so that takes care of the fireside chat questions. We're going to move on to the lightning round. These are 10 one-word quick responses to let folks know more about you as a person. If you're ready, I'll go ahead and kick it off.
Let's do this.
All right. Tell us one of your favorite movies that isn't known or really popular.
Okay. That's a hard definition. Maybe Only God Forgives by Nicholas Winding Refn. It stars Ryan Gosling. That didn't get much love. The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. That was my favorite film of 2019.
Okay.
Maniac, the 2013 Maniac starring Elijah Wood. It is the best. It is one of the best horror remakes in a long time, and it's one of the best slasher films of all time.
I'm gonna need to see that tonight.
Check out Maniac with Elijah Wood. It's mind-blowing.
Okay. Favorite movie director?
So that's always changing for me. So right now, I'm really into samurai films.
Yeah.
So Akira Kurosawa is my man at the moment.
Okay.
And I really like what the Sadfi brothers are doing. They just did Good Time. They did Good Times with Robert Pattinson, and they did Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler.
Yes. Yeah.
They're very exciting directors, and they really inspire me. So yeah.
I love it. I got to tell you real quick, my favorite director of all time, Scorsese, and it's because of the movie Taxi Driver. So when I was in college, I think I had got it because it was like this Uber, you know, the deluxe edition with all like the bonus footage, and I just love everything that he talks about, from the angles to the characters to, you know, the doubles for Jodie Foster and all that stuff back then. I find that the movies from like the late 70s, well, I guess just throughout the 70s are just like my favorite like time period, but I had to share that with you.
Hey, did you ever hear about there was a rumor that Scorsese got an NC-17 rating on Taxi Driver. Have you heard this?
Yeah.
And he was told to recut the film. And he the rumor is that Scorsese went crazy and was drinking all night and doing drugs all night, and he had planned to murder the person on the board who gave it an NC-17 rating. This is the rumor. This is the rumor. And this is a Tarantino story. And so basically he was up all night and friends were coming to see him, and they're trying to talk him down and everything like that. And so I don't know if it was his editor or one of his friends had mentioned, like, well, you know, that ending scene with the pimps.
Brutal.
Blood, it's brutal. It's brutal. And so one of his filmmaker friends suggested to him, if we just change the color temperature, if we just change the f-stop so that the blood doesn't look so red.
Yes, it was a very dark scene.
It looks a little gray or a little dark. And we'll say we recut it and we'll send it to them. And so he does that. They send it to them. He didn't cut a frame. He just changed the color temperature on that scene. And he got an R rating. So and he didn't murder anybody. And he didn't murder anybody.
You know, I think what folks have to remember that are listening, this was like the late 70s. And so rated R back then was a lot different. And they already had a lot of challenges because Jodie Foster was underage, and some of the content that was going on was it was a different kind of rated R for that time. Oh, man. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Recommend a documentary we should watch that inspired you.
Oh, man. American Movie.
Okay, yeah.
American Movie is about this bum, this alcoholic trying to make a horror film in Wisconsin. It might not be the American Movie you're thinking of.
It's not.
American Movie. It was made, I think, in 1996.
Okay.
And, you know, at that time, you know, documentaries, they weren't getting the respect that they get now. And that was the first documentary to sell for $1 million at Sundance.
Whoa, that's kind of
American Movie. Check it out, man. You will not be disappointed. Mark Borchardt, baby. Coven.
Tell us something about the film industry that's really cool that we wouldn't know it because we're not part of it.
I don't know if it's cool, but everybody's shorter than they look.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay. If David had a theme song, what would it be and why?
So Vic appointed a theme song for me.
Okay.
And it is Still the Same by Bob Seger.
Ah, okay. All right.
But you know what? I would say if you had to ask me what my theme song would be, it would be We Got Tonight by Bob Seger.
Okay. Favorite genre of music?
Oh, man. You know, wow. So I listen to a lot of soundtracks.
Sure.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of soundtracks. You know, rock and roll, you know, of course, rock and roll, right? But yeah, right now I'm just real deep into soundtracks, man.
Okay.
My vinyl collecting disease is soundtracks right now.
Do you like the older ones, kind of the obscure ones?
Have to.
I'm gonna have to send you some
I do not want the Mondo reissue Conan the Barbarian. I want the 1982, you know what I mean, first press Conan the Barbarian. That's yeah.
So I gotta tell you real quick, when Mondo does a soundtrack though, like an OST like this.
Oh, I know.
All the bells and whistles.
Oh, I know, man. I know. I hear you, but I have that nostalgia bug, that itch I have to scratch, I guess.
Okay. What's the last album you bought? Or soundtrack?
Oh, man. Well, the last soundtrack I bought was Conan the Barbarian, Speak of the Devil.
And that's your favorite movie, right?
It's one of my favorites for sure.
Okay.
You know, so I've rediscovered Chris Cornell. So I'm listening to a lot of Soundgarden right now.
Okay.
Because I did not appreciate him at the height of his career.
I
You know,
understand that.
he was little too mainstream for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Black Hole Sun was so played out. I didn't give it its due. And now I got Super Unknown on repeat whenever I go hiking.
Okay. When you're looking for inspiration, motivation, what do you think of? What kind of music are you going to put in the player?
Oh man. So I told Paula this. So I'll listen to when I'm like creating adapters or toys, I will listen to video game playthroughs. I will listen to the soundtrack of Metroid, of someone playing it for like 2 hours, or Legend of Zelda, or that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating to me. I love that.
I get a lot of inspiration from that for some reason. Or like an arcade game, I'll just listen to those sounds and I don't know.
All right. Last question. If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be and why?
Okay, so I'm a longstanding X-Men fan.
Okay.
And I've thought this through and through, right? I mean, there's so many ways you can go. I mean, if you're Wolverine, you know what I mean? You basically never die. You could always heal. You know what I mean? If you're Storm, you control the weather and you can fly and, you know, all this other stuff. But I'm going to go with a much less known character by the name of Longshot.
Longshot.
And Longshot's mutant power, his superpower, was luck. That's it.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, hey, man, if you were the luckiest, you know, being in the universe, that'd be pretty cool, right?
That would be cool.
You're never going to get hit by a bullet. Every bet you're going to win, right? It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
I just want to be able to scratch my own back, man. That's...
Hey, can we do
yes.
well, two things I want to do before we go.
Yes. Yes.
So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if we're going over time, but it seems like we're getting more viewers up here. So I wanted to ask you, man, your handle, okay?
Yeah.
Waxvillain.
Yeah.
What traumatic event happened in your life to send you on this path of villainy?
So I was I took a deep spill into Brazilian music. I want to say it was somewhere in the early 2000s, and I was just going crazy to get the records. I was having people, just friends that would go to Brazil for work. They would go through the favelas to get me the records. I was learning Portuguese so I could communicate with sellers to buy these records. And so this one day I looked at my email and I got an alert from Discogs. And there was a record I was going after. It was Orlandivo, which is a rare Brazilian gem.
Okay.
So I click on the link in the email and it says the page has expired. So I said, damn, I missed it. And there weren't many of these. So I said, but I see the seller's name. Go back, see the seller's name. I find the seller. I said, I write him a message. I said, I'll give you double whatever the person bought it for.
Now that is villainous.
He writes back and says, really? I said, double. He puts the amount in, and the record showed up a week later, and I'm glowing because I have the Orlandivo record now, and I'm telling a friend about it. And we also love MF Doom, Mad Villain, all that stuff, and that's where Waxvillain came from.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Wow. Wow. Yeah, in the collector world, that's a villainous move, man. You outsold the bidder, man.
That was a different chapter of life. We do different now.
Hey, you know what? If I find it, well, I'll tell you the story when we get after it. But lastly, before we go, all you guys have been very patient, and so I want to do a giveaway for the new El Triste paintable adapter.
Wow.
And so, Waxvillain, I think you have a question. I
do. In the music video for Nobody's Clown, there was a feature from a Daptone band, the Sinceres. If you can type in the name of that person, that musician, you win.
Ooh, good one. All right. Trivia
I wish I had
question.
some theme music to play right now.
One more time. One more time. What's the question again?
Okay, so the question is this. There was a member of the Sinceres that was featured in the Nobody's Clown music video. What is the name of the musician in this band that was featured in the music video?
That's a tough one, man. That's a difficult question.
You got to be dedicated. You would have had to have watched the video more than once.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
I'm not seeing anybody type in. Should
I'm not seeing anything.
A lifeline?
Man.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
let's
tough,
see.
man.
Oh. We have a winner. Ding, ding, ding.
Oh man.
Chunky Monkey Mama.
Chunky Monkey. Is that who got it, or is it?
That's who got it. I saw that name first.
All right, man. Chunky Monkey Mamas, you get it. So Chunky
Monkey Mamas. That's my sis. I appreciate her.
Chunky Monkey Mamas, just DM me your address, and you will be one of the first to get the new paintable El Triste adapter.
Exclusive, rare, limited.
Yeah.
Before we go, there's two things we got to do. One, we're going to need to tell everyone how they can stay up to date and connected. But I want to thank you, because when I came on this scene, one of the things that I always talked about was the need for connection points. And you directed a music video that connected with people all over the world. And it was something that folks like me on the scene were cheering and celebrating for. And then you gave us an adapter, something that had meaning to it, something that when we look at it would remind us of things like happiness throughout the pandemic, like Los Yesterday's Bad Vic, and the visuals that we saw. Thank you so much, because those are the connection points I'm always hoping that we'll see one day, by and large, across the board. And it just means so much to have you on, to be able to get the insights, from that process. But more importantly, to introduce you so that folks that didn't know you now know you, and those that heard about you, now they know a little bit more. So thank you so much.
Sure. And, let me second that, man. You're one of the first to really, really show love for the adapter. And I so appreciate it. And I was like, your kindness caused me to be a little suspicious, because I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like this guy really loves the adapters, and he's playing all his records with the El Triste adapter. And, it's helped so much.
Oh, that makes me happy.
So I'm humbled by you telling me that I helped you in some way, or I was a part of a movement that helped others. And I thank you right back for showing the love and promoting the hell out of our stuff, man.
It's the official adapter of Waxvillain. What can I say?
Awesome, man. Awesome. So
real quick, just tell us how we can connect with you, where we can see some of your existing work. Where do we find you on social media? Yeah, just here. I'm Toy Raider. I have toyraider.com. That's where you can buy the adapters. I have a film coming out called Knox Mind Disaster. It's a little different flavor than what you guys know of me, but that'll be hitting. That'll be coming out next year. It's at knoxminddisaster.com. And yeah, I'm keeping it simple, man. toyraider.com and Toy Raider right here. Very cool. Now, if some of the folks watching missed out on Glow in the Dark or Crybaby Blue, can they still buy that?
So they can. The Crybaby Blue and the Glow in the Dark are still available. The Gold and Silver are sold out.
Okay.
And with the release of this, we're gonna announce free shipping till Christmas. Whoa. So if you want to get a stocking stuffer of the Crybaby Blue or the Glow in the Dark, hey, hit us up. We got free first class shipping, within the United States. That's what we're going to be dropping.
So the way I do my math is, when there's free shipping, that means I buy two.
Great.
Dave, thank you so much. Have a fantastic night. I'll send you a link to this when it's all done. Excellent.
Hey, I really appreciate having me on, and keep up the great work, man. You're really carving out, a unique thing here, and I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
All right, take it easy.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington, and we're out.